Okay, welcome to another episode of Keep Making. Today on the podcast, we have Carol. Carol has been around Alumilite for 20 years, 20 plus years?
For 21.
21, okay. So before I get started, why don't you just give me a brief introduction as to who you are and how long you've been here, like the real number. If it's almost 21, right, you said?
It is. Heading for 21 years, I have been with Alumilite for 18 and a half in Polytech, heading for 2. What about me? I'm not sure. On a personal level, I love being here. Mm-hmm. I have a home family and I have an Alumilite family, which now is also with you, Caden.
Cool.
So I've enjoyed all my time here. Mm-hmm. I dread the thought of leaving here. Mm-hmm. Mike told me I can't leave here till I'm 80, so a few years yet, but this is me. I love my job.
Awesome. So speaking of Mike, you were his very first hire at Alumilite, right?
I was his very first hire. Mike actually graduated with my son. I know that's not relevant to anything we're talking about.
Oh, no, it's okay. That's a good, fun little fact.
When I went for the interview, I went home. My son said, well, what'd you do? I said, well, I interviewed with Mike Popple. He said, Mike Popple? I went to school with him. He said, I'll put in a good word for you. I said, you don't need to. I got the job.
Man,
so,
that's so cool.
20 minutes into the interview, he said, you got the job.
Really?
Yes.
That's so awesome because he's told that story to me a couple of times about how he hired you because there was a bunch of sales guys that were like also interviewing for the job or whatever.
Yes.
And he knew instantly who the right choice was, and that was you because he knew that you'd be able to take care of people in a way that you wouldn't necessarily be worried about just the bottom line, or you knew they would just take care of them on a human level. Like if whatever issue that they were having, you'd actually care instead of be like, let's just get this through.
Yes.
And you didn't start in customer service though, right? How did you start at Alumilite?
See, I was going to stamp envelopes and send out flyers. They had me in a little corner and they said, well, this is just a part-time job, maybe 20 hours a week.
Really?
Remember, I had never had a job in my life. I had been a mother for 20...
That's a job. Being a mom's a job.
It became a recent divorcee and needed to find a job.
Okay.
And I had a job at Kmart offered to me, but I thought, no, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. And so they said, well, this is 20 hours, starting at this many dollars. I'm thinking, So went over in the corner, started stamping envelopes, and the other lady that worked there said, I can't answer this phone. Can you just put him on hold and I'll get to him? Picked up the phone, started talking to him, made my first sale within the first day.
Really?
They moved me to the office and said 40 hours, pay increase, and here I was.
Wow. So I've actually never heard it from your perspective, and that's fascinating because I didn't know that it was just like, hey, we're just going to start this nice, slow, steady, and then immediately it was like off to the races with sales.
It was.
Sales then is a lot different than sales now, and I know that we didn't necessarily. I didn't put these in some of my questions, but like I'm super curious the changes that you've seen over the years because I'm from a different generation entirely. People aren't knocking on doors anymore for sales.
No.
So you had to have a different skill when it came to communicating with people pretty much on the phone or in person.
I guess on honesty, just talking to them like we're talking now, just person to person. Not knowing the products completely made it a little bit difficult at first because in making the sales, you had to know about the product. Mm-hmm. Mike actually gave me some silicone. He said, go out in the back, this is how you make the mold. Came in the next day, everybody's kind of giggling. And I said, what's going on? And they're still giggling. I walked out back, didn't seal that mold box well. And there was
there's just stuff everywhere.
Silicone all over the floor. I said, oh, my goodness. And they said, you won't make that mistake again, and I never did.
Right.
And I read, and I read, and I read, and I learned. And they put me in a room and gave me question after question. Next thing I know, they said, you're going to a trade show. And I said,
Wait a minute.
What? So he said, that's how you learn.
Okay. I think he's right. I mean, that was my very first day. I'm pretty sure he put me on a project my very first day here. And I was like, oh, this is how we do things around here.
That is Mike. That is Mike. And he's right. And I tell people when I tell them about our product, there's nothing like hands-on that teaches you about something. And when you make those mistakes, typically you don't make them twice.
Right.
So
Yeah.
hands-on is the way to go.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to hop back to where you're working currently, which is in customer service.
Yes.
What's your favorite thing about customer service?
Helping, of course. Learning.
Learning.
Because I think I learn just as much from the customer as they learn from me.
Okay. I think that's a very succinct and good answer. You've worked with a ton of people throughout the years. I mean, you've helped a lot of people when it comes to customer service or sales or when you were going to trade shows. We're going to get to the trade shows eventually because I know there's some stories there. But when it comes to all the people that you've helped, do you have any, like, favorites? And you don't have to name names or anything like that, but I know that you've got to have some people that you've helped over the years, or, like, they've maybe called back a few times, or you've had more than one interaction with them. Are there any that stick out that for you are kind of like, oh man, this kind of pokes at my heart a little bit, or it was a really funny problem and solution, those kinds of things?
A lot of them. I felt like I had my PhD for a while with some, because they did have family problems, family issues, personal issues, even physical issues. And when they would call, give their order, and they really didn't know me on a personal level to where I would speak to someone they knew and perhaps spread what they told me. So they would just confide in me.
Really?
And as the years, and I still have people that after 21 years still call me several times a week and say, I'm having a problem. And it's not the mold making, it's not the casting.
So you're what I'm picking up on with you, especially, and this is, everyone says this about you, you kind of like take care of everyone, not just in their like whatever technical issue they have. Like you actually care about the whole person, I think is how I'd put it. You care about the whole person. So, even they might be frustrated by the fact that their mold spilled out the sides and was all over the place, but they might have been distracted because a parent was sick, or their daughter or son was in trouble, or people have more than just like whatever issue they're having with our products. There's a lot going on with people.
Absolutely.
So for you found a lot of joy in just actually taking care of the whole person, if you can, obviously, because if you can, right?
Sure.
Okay.
There's some things you can't, but I've been through with people where their child has lost their life. I've been through things with people who have had serious surgeries. I have one particular person that's near and dear to me. He was a vet in Vietnam. That was my generation. And the health issues, the torment, the things he went through, the things he shared with me is just unbelievable. He's a good mold maker caster as well, and he's been with his company, and we've actually met on several occasions. So.
That's awesome.
And he's very near and dear to all of our hearts, and I help him whenever I can.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. So, what's your, maybe tying into that, what's your favorite thing about making people happy? Because what is happening is like these people get to know you a little bit as well, and obviously you're bringing a little bit of joy to their life because they're feeling heard. What is about that brings you joy? Because obviously you're bringing them some happiness, and it's got to be fulfilling for you on some level as well, or else I don't think you would be doing this for 21 years if it wasn't actually bringing you joy as well.
No.
Yeah.
My daughter worked for customer service in FedEx in Chicago, no less. And she said, how do you love a customer service? She said, all I hear all day is complaining and anger and you know, and pain, not the things you feel. I said that's because sometimes I think they get from a customer service person annoyance. They feel annoyance that this person's being paid to listen to their complaints, where I always made it a point to say, essentially, I'm sorry you're having a problem. Let's get this resolved. Let me help you. And then you interact. And pretty soon, before you know it, you're on the phone for 25 minutes, and sometimes people have forgot what they called in for. And, you know, can I call back and ask for you again? Can, you know, it's the interaction. It's, to me, it's just being a real human being. Being a real human being.
So I'm curious where you learned how to do this on some level, or is just I have an intuition that you probably were always this way, and you were probably this way as a mom, you were probably this way as a grandma, you're probably, I mean, like, I know you've taken care of many people throughout your life, but do you remember when it first started? Because I like helping people, but the way that we help people are very different, and sometimes they're similar, but I can sense it in you, and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna vibe with Carol. I knew within the first 3 days that I worked here, I was like, I'm gonna like Carol, because there's an air about you that of motherliness is not. It doesn't fully encapsulate it, because it's not just talk. It's through your actions and how you actually move and act with people. So, do you remember when it started? Because so for me, I remember the first time that I could tell when I helped someone how they acted afterwards, and how it seemed to like have a really profound change on them. I was really young, but I don't know for you if like you have a moment where you're like, hey, I actually really like this, and I think I'm good at this. Well, or have you ever thought that? I mean,
yeah, no, and you don't want to be little boy blue and blow your own horn,
right?
But I think I do, because I think that's an important part of life, and I think there's a naturalness to it, but I think my parents instilled it in me.
Okay, so it did come from your parents. Yeah, I was going to ask if it was your parents, if it was like your mom or dad had something about it.
Because my dad would always say, if someone needs help, do it.
Really? Just period?
Just do it.
Okay.
You know? Give of yourself, give of your time. And if you do something for someone and you expect something in return, you've given nothing.
Right.
It was a barter. You know,
that's not truly giving.
That's not truly giving. And he instilled that into all of us kids.
Okay.
How help?
This is something I don't know. How many kids? How many siblings?
Siblings. I have one brother and 3 sisters.
Okay. So you have a nice little clan.
Yes.
Cool.
And my dad was from a family of 12 kids. So you too.
I am.
Oh, wow. So you know you have to give. It has to be give and take. It cannot be
the selfishness doesn't exist in large families.
Absolutely
it doesn't work
not.
out.
No,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've tried to instill that in my kids most of the time. And my kids tell me, how do you give all the time? I said, I guess years of practice, because
it's a muscle.
It is. It is. And you just have to help people when they need it. It's not an option. It's not a question. You just do it.
So I'm gonna move away from the emotional feelings for a second, because you're not just giving of yourself. You're actually wicked smart when it comes to all of our products. I sat in the bullpen, is what I referenced the customer service, because that's where all the phones are happening. You know, there's lots of people talking, that kind of thing. And I sat there for about, I think 3 weeks when I first started working here. And I can't count the number of times that someone said, Carol, someone's on the line for you. I got a tech question, meaning like you had the answer to a difficult problem that they were having when it came to the molds or the resins, or there's bubbles or whatever issue there was. Like, you had the answer. Is that just from experience? Because I was like, how does she know so much about this stuff?
Oh, well,
I was like, I think you got a PhD level, kind of like Mike Foppel. When I say, he's like, that dude is just wicked smart. He knows chemistry.
Gosh,
I'm just like, what? I couldn't do that part. That's why I'm doing my job over here. But you also have this really vast knowledge about our products and the issues that can arise with like beginners especially, but more than that, like off the wall stuff. I've heard you even talking on the phone about like, oh, just do this, and this, and then that'll be the.
Well, I didn't know you were listening to me.
I listen all the time. You hear that, everybody? I'm listening.
I have to thank Mike probably mostly for that.
Okay.
I mean, I did myself. I had to do a lot of research. With the internet, you can research anything. So I would look things up. But it was Mike, again, with the hands-on thing. Take this home. Make a mold. So I'd get the grandkids together, set them down, and say, give me your fingers, and we'd make mold, and the grandkids know how to use it. And you pour the resin, and you learn from your mistakes. We all know that. There's no better teacher. So that was it, just reading and listening. Again, learning from your customers. I did this and this, and this happened. I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Right.
So
there's so much of that still happening. People doing new things that you're just like, what?
Exactly. And people tell me some of my best things I've done was from a mistake.
Wow.
I made a mistake, this happened. I think, oh, that turned out beautiful. So that's essentially it. We just truly live and learn.
I really, I can resonate that way. And also the learning through your mistakes. I think that doesn't just apply when it comes to like making a mold. I think that applies to, I think that might be like a universal life lesson there.
It is. I agree.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you used to go to trade shows, and trade shows are definitely still around. They definitely have changed a bit when it comes to how people are interacting in those spaces, but they're still a thing. You went through them during the heyday of trade shows.
We did.
So you would be at them with like Mike Foppel. Is there anybody else that would join you guys?
My husband.
Okay.
And then the other owner, Ron Cross.
Okay.
We had some good times.
That's like the nicest way you could put it. We've had some good times. So I got to ask questions about Mike in those situations because Mike was a young buck then.
Oh, well, Mike has threatened me with life and limb if I come in here and tell things. But
okay, so maybe is there any fun stories that are safe to share from those times?
Oh, gosh.
Because everybody always loves these stories about, like traveling, and everybody's been to a trade show, and then like you're finally done, you go out to dinner, you have a couple drinks, and then you have a nice time. Have you ever seen him sing karaoke? That's what I'm curious about.
Oh, Mike has told you this. I know.
No. I'm super curious. I was like, what maybe would he have done? That would be a good way of I could ask Carol about.
We went to an Irish bar where they had a piano player.
Ooh.
And we had a few drinks, and we started singing. And they sang a song about a unicorn, and we won't go any further than that.
Okay, perfect. No, that's what I was hoping. Good. That's another thing about him. I mean, like he's an incredibly kind human being, but he's extremely down to earth.
Yes, extremely.
Yeah, everything does feel a little. He's very approachable, which is
yes.
I think rare in someone of his position.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is very approachable. We've had many, many, many good times.
Cool. So I'm gonna hop back to our products in general, like the Alumilite products. What has been the favorite thing that you've made with our products, or maybe if you didn't make it, someone that has maybe made something for you with the products? Because I know you've been around for a while. Or has a customer ever sent you a gift of something that they've made, or that kind of thing?
I've done lots of gifts.
Oh no, I've gotten lots of them. Yes, too many to count.
Pens and
Pens,
pictures they made. I had one gentleman take one of my business cards and blow it up and then seal it in Alumilite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, put like fake jewels around it. It was beautiful. I mean, it was my business card, and he did that.
That's cool.
Did everything. I've gotten plaques from customers. I've gotten certificates of great performance in customer service. I got a $100 gift certificate to a store.
Oh,
and
man.
I'm saying to them, we're not supposed to accept gifts. We're not supposed to.
Thank you. No, that's great. So what is some of the best advice that let me rephrase. Best piece of advice you would give people just getting into creating things when it comes to a hobbyist. So I think we've kind of touched on it a few times, like thematically, but what would you encourage someone if they call like, hey, I'm just scared to actually just start? What would you tell them to do first?
Safety.
Safety.
Read, this is a chemical.
Mm-hmm.
You need to use chemical common sense. You need to read the instructions, follow the directions,
Mm-hmm.
and be safe.
Cool.
Secondly, do what I did. Go on the internet, read everything you can, call us, look at our website,
Mm-hmm.
look at everything there, because you guys and others that work on that internet are putting some incredible information, videos on there that's going to help the novice grow in leaps and bounds in
Mm-hmm.
using this.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably do your mistakes.
Yeah, because you can research all you want.
That's
you can
right.
read as much as you want, watch as many videos as you want, but until you get down to the doing,
Yeah.
you're still going to make mistakes because you've never done it before.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I tell people you will go through a learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've researched and if you're scared at all, call me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll stay around the phone with you and work you right through.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right.
Did you hear that, everybody? You can actually call Carol, the first project that you have, and she will pick up and sit with you during the entire process. So this is a bit more of a personal question, because one of the things that I first heard about you when I first started working is you started working here after your days of being a mom, and like the best job there is on the planet. The hardest job, I'd say, on the planet. And then, but you've always embodied that mothership moving forward, and you're your grandma now. You've taken care of a lot of families. I'm super curious because I have a family of my own. I have 2 little boys. I've got a wife, the whole 9. What is your best piece of advice for raising a family? I know that is like totally off the wall, but I'm super curious because I know that you probably have got some wisdom in you about this subject.
Give them all the love you can, all the time you can, because at the end of the day, you want to leave. Don't make me get emotional. That's the message you want to leave with them, so that they pass it on. Because when time's up,
Time's up.
time's up.
Mm-hmm. So give all the love that you have,
All the love and
all the time that you have.
Yep.
I think that's pretty simple but pretty profound advice.
It has to be.
Mm-hmm.
There are other lessons that you can give them. They're not going to take to heart. They're going to go out and make their own plan, make their own way. I mean, I've told my kids do's and don'ts, and it doesn't mean nothing. They're going to go out, and they're still going to trip, and they're still going to fall, and they're still going to do what they want to do and learn by their own mistakes. But if you give them love and you give them time, they'll always come back to that, always.
Wow. That's awesome. You speaking from experience, you were just in Europe not too long ago.
I was.
With a bunch of family, right?
Yes.
And is it your husband's
My husband.
Yeah, your husband's from Europe, right?
He's from London.
Nice. Very cool. So you guys are over there celebrating family, I'm assuming,
Yes.
on some level?
Yes.
Were you able to spend a significant amount of time with your family over there?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, and we had a wonderful time, and his mother turned 90 while we was over there.
Wow.
So that's a good long lifeline there. So we had a great time.
Cool.
Super time. And
Very
it's
cool.
that time. It's spending that time.
Sweet. So I know that the thing that everybody probably doesn't realize, because you've been handling this conversation so well, is that Carol's never done this before, and I'm very impressed with how you're handling yourself when it comes to these. So I'm only going to ask you one more question, and then you get to ask me a question.
Okay.
So I give everybody on the podcast an opportunity to ask me one. Every single time they do, I normally stumble for some reason, because normally it's me asking the questions. But before that, I did want to ask you if there's anything you'd like to share that's on your heart at all when it comes to this. I can't thank you enough for being on this and participating. It's a lot of fun. I'm so glad I got to get to know you a little bit more.
My heart is, not only do I dread the time that I retire because this is my family too.
Mm-hmm.
And I will miss coming here every day, meeting new people like you, like Alex, like the new temps here.
Mm-hmm.
I have had an experience, no regrets from taking any other job, of coming here and learning and loving this family too.
That's awesome. I'm really glad that you shared that. I could feel it. I could definitely feel it. So now it's your turn. You can ask me anything you want, anything that you ladies in customer service has been chatting about and super curious at this point. I will do my best, as long as it's not like a crazy personal question or something. I'm 33. I'm a dad.
What's important to you as a family?
As a family?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Quality time is probably the lifeblood of our family. So I think I come from a really big family, and attention is hard to dish out in a large family. So we would all fight for attention on different levels, and that's very natural. That's neither bad nor good.
No.
It's just the reality of a large family. It's me, my wife, and my 2 boys. So there's no excuse if I'm not giving them attention. There's just no excuse because there's only 2 of them. So for me, what I try and do right now, since they're so young, is what my dad did for me when I was really young. Every time he would come home from work, it was probably the most exciting time of the day. Like it'd be like, Dad's home, and like you get ready to like, we're gonna wrestle, we're gonna play, we're gonna run around the kitchen table, we're gonna act like fools and just be goofy and listen to music, maybe have a little dance party in the kitchen, that kind of stuff. So my biggest thing right now is like I want them to feel the same way that I felt when I was little, which is just like this overwhelming, like Dad's here with me, Dad loves me, Dad wants to have fun with me. So yeah, I think that's right now the biggest thing, because I only get certain time with them. So like I want to have it be the most quality time possible while
And
I'm
they
with them.
feel that feeling.
Yeah, and I want them to have that feeling. So my wife, it works freelance, so she can spend a bit more time with them than I can currently, and I get jealous sometimes because they're 2 and 1. He'll be 1 on Sunday. My second will be 1 on Sunday.
Oh my goodness.
So they're little. They're little
They are
still.
little.
So yeah, but they're an absolute riot. My youngest is just learning how to walk. He does the hands up above his head,
go.
the struggle, like I'm gonna make it, and then falls down. So yeah, that's a good question. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Cool.
Yes, you did.
Well, Carol, I'm gonna stop torturing you because I know that this is nice and difficult. But you've done a really great job. I really appreciate you sharing some of the stories and your time here, and everybody will miss you when that day comes. And I hope it's not too soon, because I'd like to hang out with you a little bit longer.
Well, I do too. And you are moving to Grand Rapids, so we will be missing you guys.
I know, but we'll come back and visit a whole bunch.
I hope so.
Cool.
I certainly hope so. Just don't ask me to do this.
I won't. Okay, cool. Thank you.